at sold out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff-bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Dallas Cowboys. And why are the Dallas Cowboys 0-16? Because they suck. They got smoked once again in the first round of the playoffs because they suck. The Cowboys suck. There we get all. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening? Hold on. Time out. I'm going to move the chair for my buddy Randy here. Hold on. Here, come in, buddy. All right, Randy's here. Okay, we can continue. Anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening? I greatly appreciate it. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. Going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight. Shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free. Fire away. Throw in the chat box. You just try to check like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. So please feel free and fire away. But plus also seriously, instead of me just rambling on for half an hour, 45 minutes, or whatever it might want to be, it's just nice to talk to another Giant fan. So please feel free and fire away. Before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, the very top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon, second one's called the Lawrence Taylor, and the third membership level I got is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. I thank you in advance. Thank you. If you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. I can use all the support I can get, guys. But if not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way, next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. And then finally, also just a little ways down in the description box, there's 2 additional links. The top one's a Facebook link, which I'll go over in just a second. The one underneath it, it's a Twitter link. It's always been Twitter. I'm an old-time fart. I hate change, right? Get off my lawn! I'm an old-time fart, right? It's a Twitter link. It's always been Twitter. It'll be Twitter today. It'll be Twitter tomorrow. 3 trillion years from now, when I'm long gone, it'll still be Twitter to me. Right? Whatever letter of the alphabet Elon Musk wants to call it, that's on you, bro. I'm not calling it that. It's Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you back. That's an absolute promise. I try to put some Giants-related stuff in my Twitter account every day. So I said, if you follow me, I'll follow you back. That's a promise. And then the link just above it takes you to my Facebook group. It's doing simply marvelous. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. Very, very original, I know. But what do we have? We just reached the 7,900 plateau. So we have over 7,900 members in the group. It's doing simply marvelous. Simply marvelous. Right? Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I have internet access, I'm putting stuff in this group darn near 365. And not only do I put stuff in here, but if you become a member, members post stuff in here. So between me and the members, there's a boatload. There's a ton. There's an awful lot of New York Giants information going in this group. Every day. It's called the New York Giants of Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You won't be dissatisfied. I promise. All right, with all that stuff said and done and out of the way with, well, we got some interesting stuff here to talk about tonight. Now, boy, I always start this. I've said this before, and this is not like a knock on anybody or anything like that, because some people, obviously, they know to certain things, they know far more than I know. All right. There's certain things I know more about than other people know as far as football, right? But I mean, as far as like the mock drafts and say, I anytime I spend on football free time that I have, it's not what most of the people do. I have my own route that I go. Okay. But, and that's the route that I go is nobody knows more about it than I do, as far as with the Giants. Okay. But I'm saying as far as like, the mock drafts and stuff like that, I can't hold none of these people's jock straps. I mean, these people spend so much time, devotion and dedication, all that stuff. They know the prospects coming out and all that stuff, and they do a phenomenal job. There's so much of it. And once again, I said, that's not me. What I do the people, doing the mock drafts, that's not them. They're not going to do what I do. Therefore, it doesn't make me right, doesn't make them wrong, and all like that. It's just they spend time doing stuff, and I said they do a phenomenal job of it. But it says like with the mock drafts and all, just take them for what they are. I think I say this like every year. Don't get too carried away. If somebody's Bucky Brooks comes up with a new mock draft, oh my God, we're going for alt. Well, what happened? We're not taking the wide receiver. We're not trading. No, he said 2 times we're going to trade up for a quarter. We're not doing that. What's going on? Don't get too carried away. Because what happens is, I'm just throwing Bucky Brooks out there. Or Mel Kiper Jr., right? Whatever, right? Mel Kiper Jr. have a draft out, and we're taking one of the wide receivers. And then Mel Kiper Jr. in 2 weeks will have another mock draft come out, and we're taking somebody else. And then 2 weeks later, he has another mock draft coming out. We're taking it. Don't. There's 850. People like me. They're popping up all over the freaking place on YouTube, podcast, YouTube, this, that. There's 850 people like me, trillion people out there like me that are just, they have their own, opinions, right? Everybody's got an opinion. But, just realize, especially with people, and as I said, once again, there's nothing wrong with the people, the information there. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. I just also try to, it's nice to know the guys that are coming out and all that stuff. That's great. I'm saying, once again, everybody has their own way. That's not me. I said some people want to know as much as they possibly can about all the guys coming out. That's great. That's fantastic. If that's you, that's you. But once again, just remember there's 32 NFL teams. So basically, we can narrow this down pretty much, right? So just 32 NFL teams. So out of every 100 players coming out, right? We got 32, we got 32, 64, 96. So basically 96 out of every 100, right? So basically 3 out of every 100 players coming out of the draft are going to be Giants. Basically like 3.1% of the players are coming out are going to be Giants. That's not a high. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's not, so once again, if you want to know if that's what you want, that's you. Go get them, Tiger. That's not me. Okay. But as I said, just try to keep all the stuff with a grain of salt. As I said, 3.1% of the guys coming out of that are going to get drafted are going to be New York Giants. 3.1%. Think of that number, right? So if for you to know, I said, unless you want to know everything that there is about almost everybody coming out, so that when they get drafted and they go to other teams, you're familiar with them and all that stuff. But if you're trying to become familiar with all these guys, now I think the Giants should take this guy in the 4th round. I think this guy, just remember, 3.1% of the guys coming out in the draft are going to be drafted by the Giants. That's not a lot. So I try not, just for me, this is just me. This doesn't mean, certainly don't mean I'm right. Lord knows I've been wrong. I'm wrong a ton of times. This is just me, right? So what I try to do anyway is, after the guys are drafted, then that's when after we drafted Trey Hawkins the third, I'm like, who? Huh? Old to me? What? So type them in. Boom, bunch of videos pop up, a bunch, there's that. Obviously, when you got guys in the 7th round, there's not, a guy coming out of Utah, Tech State University School of A&M or whatever like that, the 13th round guard or something. It's like, there's not a lot of information on some of those guys, but, you take it as, I'm saying when Javarius Owens from Houston, what, who, type them in, right? Check out some videos on them, whatever there is, and I learn. Right, Jordan Riley. Who? Jordan Riley. That's how I want to learn. But I said, but don't. If you want to try to learn everything about the 300 guys or whatever it's going to try to come out and do, that's you. Go ahead. But I said, but just with me, I just try to I try to learn out more about the guy when we, because also I don't have a lot of time. Some people want to know everything about every team. They want to know the whole roster. They want to, so they can talk about every player on every team, and they know where this guy came from when he was training. That's you. Okay, but once again, I say I don't have that time. That's not me. I just try to spend my time most predominantly for just learning about the Giants. And so as I said, once the guys get drafted, that's when I learn, about pretty much what their strengths and weaknesses are and all that stuff and everything, what they can bring to the table. I said, but also with these mock drafts, don't get too carried away. Just learn from them. If they got a write up on them, okay, read it, whatever. But, I'm just realizing with these mock drafts, there's a Mel Kiper Jr. is coming out with a mock draft. As I said, we're taking, he might have Harrison Jr. fall to us at number 6. Okay. But then 2 weeks later, we're taking a quarterback. 2 weeks later, we're taking Alt from Notre Dame. So don't get too carried away. Especially maybe right now, if you're going to really, once they start, like Mel Kiper Jr. and all these guys, once they really start gathering all their information and they go through the combine, the guys' pro days and all that stuff, some guys shoot up the board, some guys fall down the boards, some guys get injured, some guys are they don't have a pro day, they don't do this or that, they might have little question marks about them, so they're not sure where they're forward. But, leading up to the draft, maybe a couple days or day or two, Mel Kiper sets his board. This is my final mock draft. That one's going to be probably more accurate than the one he's doing in January or the one he's doing in February, right? So I said, just try to just have fun with them, this, that, and the other, but don't get too carried away. Because once again, that's why I don't even do. I might do a mock draft. Maybe do the top 10, but I'm not going to do the whole first round. So I might do up to the Giants, or maybe do the top 10 or something like that. But I'm going to be wrong on most of them, But as I said, leading up to the draft, just before the draft, maybe a day or two before, that's when that's when these guys really got everything situated and and all. They might have a better grasp as far as who might take who. But there's 300 and there's only more. There's more and more and more people coming out every year with their own mock drafts. And I said, just take this stuff with a grain of salt. I said, there's nothing wrong with it, but don't get too carried away with, especially right now. We're taking a wire. What happened to the tackle we were taking? We're not taking the tackle, no. Once again, right. I take the information. It's all great information, but don't get too carried away with it right now, right? All right, and then, oh boy, I said this one, the old Daniel Jones trade. Oh my goodness, boy! I'll tell you what. Former NFL executive proposes a wild trade involving the Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. I'm not sure what this guy's smoking. Mike Tannenbaum. Sometimes it's like, it's, I don't know. I don't know what the people they're thinking. They just propose this stuff just to, get attention or get clicks or whatever it is or something like that. Well, let me just read this first here, then I'll go over a little bit. Mike Tannenbaum, former NFL executive, has an idea to help the New York Giants solve their quarterback situation. I'm not so sure about that. Tannenbaum, who spent the bulk of his NFL executive career with the New York Jets from 1997 to 2012, it's a long time, right? Where he worked his way up the ladder from director of player contract to general manager and senior vice president of football operations from 2006 to 2012, proposed during an appearance on ESPN's Get Up program that the Giants trade quarterback Daniel Jones to the Cleveland Browns in exchange for quarterback Deshaun Watson and a second-round draft pick. I'm not sure. I said, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you have Dorian Thompson Robinson, you have Joe Flacco, and now 27-year-old Daniel Jones, who has 1 year left on a guaranteed money of $36 million and an enormous amount of flexibility moving forward, Tannenbaum said in explaining his logic after he put down the crack pipe. If you're the Giants, you're getting Deshaun Watson, who's 29, who's making $46 million a year over the next 3 years, and a second-round pick. To me, the Giants need a frontline difference-making quarterback. Tannenbaum is correct in saying that the Giants need a difference-making quarterback, something Jones has yet to prove he can be. But Tannenbaum's trade proposal makes no sense for the Giants to do so from a financial perspective. I'm just going to go over some of this. Once again, I don't know what this guy's smoking. Trading Jones before June 1st would result in a $13.79 million in savings with a dead cap money acceleration of $33 million, representing what's left on Jones's signing bonus. Meanwhile, obtaining Watson's fully guaranteed contract would cost the Giants a whopping $46 million for his 2024 base salary, while they could do so by converting a chunk of that base salary into a signing bonus that prorates over the remaining life of the contract. Because now they're stuck with him, right? They're stuck with him. They're stuck with the guy who just was injured last season. They probably have to do the same for the $46 million he's owed in both 25 and 26 in order to have enough operating capital to address other upcoming needs. It's like, it's like, come on, man. What are you smoking, dude? As of this writing, the Giants pro over the cap have $11.62 million in effective cap space and $19.46 million in total cap space to address numerous needs in free agency and their draft class coming up. They're expected to open up more cap space through contract terminations and restructures of their own. But the cap space is not only needed to sign their incoming 2024 rookie class, but is also expected to be invested in veterans to help boot the interior offensive line depth, cornerback, pass rusher, and backup quarterback. So we're supposed to get rid of all of this for Deshaun Watson. It's like I said. According to Spot Track, once again, I don't know what the differences are, but Spot Track has the Giants. Their top 51 is cap space. They have $26 million in cap space left. Right. Daniel Jones is cap hit this year is $47 million. But if you look at, Cleveland, Deshaun Watson's, according to Spot Track, once again, Deshaun Watson's cap hit this year is almost $64 million. His dead cap money, what they owe him is $201 million left. Now let's see here. Let's see what we got here. The thing was that the problem was that in 2023 his cap hit was only $19 million. This year it's sky. The next 3 years, I'm not sure where they're talking about his space salary is $46 million, but he has signing bonuses which was put in there and a restructure which was pushed in there. So his cap hit is not just $46 million. Unless if they trade him. Unless if Cleveland's responsible for the signing bonus and the restructure, I don't know. But I'm just saying his cap hit this year is almost $64 million. His cap hit in 2025 is almost $64 million. His cap hit in 2026 is $64 million. You can't get rid of the guy. You're stuck with him for at least 3 years. And if you want to get rid of him after 2026, you would have to suffer like $9 million. So okay, that's fine. But you're stuck with it's like 64. Once again, they'd have to restructure his sign and bonus, but they'd be pushing money down the road. $64 million. He's owed $201 million in guaranteed money. 200 because let's not forget they signed him to a deal. Right, and they guaranteed everything, all the money. Which is stupid because it pisses off all the other NFL owners and GMs and all that. It's like, why are they guaranteed? This is what the GMs and they're trying to avoid: fully guaranteed contracts, right? And the Browns went out and they signed Deshaun Watson, and we're going to give you this much money, and we'll guarantee it all, just so you can come and play with us, right? Okay. But anyway, Ed Valentine, he has his own view of this. Ed Valentine, things I think about a crazy Daniel Jones trade. I mean, he said, I like Mike Tannenbaum. I have had him on my podcast a number of times. I appreciate the fact that Mike, who has lots of demands on his time from ESPN and his work at the 33rd team, gives me the time to talk New York Giants when he can. Some folks complain when I offer Mike's take on a variety of things. After all, he worked for the Jets. Still, the opinions of a man who has been a general manager and who worked in the NFL front offices for more than 20 years always has some value. People like that they are better connected and more knowledgeable about how things work inside the walls of NFL teams than any of us. So, Mike, man, did you temporarily lose your mind on Get Up the other day when you advocated for Daniel Jones and Deshaun Watson swap between the Giants and the Browns? I'm kind of agreeing with Ed Valentine here. Oh, we got Tannenbaum would have had the Browns send Watson and a second-round pick to the Giants for Jones. He said here, hear me out. If the Cleveland Browns, you have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, you have Joe Flacco, and Daniel Jones, who has 1 year left on his guaranteed. Yeah, I already read all of this here. I mean, if you're the Giants, you're getting Deshaun Watson, who's 29, who's making $46 million a year for the next 3 years, and a second-round pick. Yeah, but he also has guaranteed money. So his cap hit this season is $63 million. They said unless when they trade him, the Browns have to maybe bite the bullet on the signing bonus and all of that. If they have to bite that, then we're still $46 million. Okay, but that's 3 years. You have to have them for 3 years, right? To me, you need a frontline difference-making quarterback. Right now, if you're the Giants, how in the world do you win the NFC when you have to beat the 49ers, the Packers, Dallas, Philly, and Detroit with Daniel Jones? And then Ed Valentine's like, what? Seriously, Mike? Honestly, if I was the Browns, GM Andrew Berry, I would do that deal in a heartbeat. It saves me significant cap space in 2024, gets me out of a fully guaranteed Watson contract that the organization never should have given him. And if I don't like what I see from Jones in 2024, it gives me the option of a full reset at the quarterback position in 2025. Yep. Yes, it does. Why on earth do the Giants do that deal? Watson, 29 September, carries a $46 million base salary for the next 3 seasons. If you trade for him, you're stuck with him through 2026. If he really was a difference-making quarterback, that might be appealing. Fact is, though, he hasn't been the same since his days with the Houston Texans. He's been a pedestrian at best in 2 seasons with the Browns. I mean, the Browns went to the playoffs and all of that and had a great – without him. They have a very good defense, right? The 2022 version of Jones was better, actually a lot better than Watson has been for the past 2 seasons, as Watson completed just 59.8% of his passes and had a quarterback rating of 81.7 while throwing 14 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions. That's what you want to pay $46 million a year for? Oh, and Watson's coming off of surgery to repair a fractured throwing shoulder. Right? Second round pick isn't worth the added money and the 2 added years of commitment. That when the version of Watson we have been seeing the past 2 years is not better than the good version of Jones has been. Besides, I doubt co-owner John Mara's stance on wanting nothing to do with Watson has changed. Remember what Mara said in 2022 when Watson was in the midst of allegations of sexual assault and harassment for more than 20 years. That's one thing that too, you know what I mean, is that, Mara, people always ask, like, would you ever, like, if Shane, Gettleman, whoever, was going to make a move or make a draft somebody or make a trade for somebody like that, they asked him, he's been asked times before, and he said, would you ever, like, veto, step in and, block, a move by Shane or a trade or something like that. And he said, it's no. Usually, he doesn't do that. Or wouldn't do it. He said, unless the guy has character issues. And let me read this here once again. Let's see here. But more importantly, with the allegations that they're out there right now, when Watson was in the midst of allegations of sexual assault and harassment from more than 20 women. 20. That's a character issue. It's not something Mara's going to want to bring into the building. So I couldn't possibly imagine why John Mara would allow that to go through. You basically have, whether you like Daniel Jones or not, I mean, you have basically Eli Manning, the second coming of Eli Manning, as far as demeanor, character, but maybe not performance on the field or whatever. Although Daniel Jones is far superior in a couple things than Eli Manning was. Not injuries, not Super Bowls, not completed pass, but he's a better athlete than Eli Manning. He's a much better runner. Okay, but anyway, I said, but Eli is obviously far head and shoulders above the performance of Daniel Jones. But Daniel Jones in John Mara's eyes is like basically the second coming of Eli Manning. He's taken, he responds well to New York. The criticism and all the bad stuff that goes his way, he takes it. He's got his, he doesn't get frazzled or crazy, doesn't going crazy and stuff like that and everything. He just takes it just like Eli. Right. So I don't think there's any way in HEL double hockey sticks that John Mara is going to allow a Deshaun Watson to come in here with his character issues, and we trade away Daniel Jones. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no way. Absolutely not. We're gonna ride out with Daniel Jones this season, and we'll after the smoke clears and the dust settles and all that stuff and everything, see what we got with Daniel Jones after this season. Right, and then they'll make their decision after this if we're going to keep them for 2025 and going forward with them, or if we're going to just go let them go and bite the bullet. And I think it's like $22 million in dead cap money in 2025, but we'll get out of his contract and we'll save some money, right? But I mean, I don't know what the hell that guy's smoking. I mean, sometimes you just come out with this stuff and it's just like, There's no way the Giants do that. Absolutely not. That's just straight up crazy. All right. Now then, the salary cap. Now the one thing is a lot of people talking. So what do you think you're gonna? They asked Shane. So what are you gonna do? What do you think you're gonna do? This and that. And Shane also mentioned too. He said, I don't. We don't know how much money we got. The salary cap. It's not been set yet, right? But it's expected quite possibly to be well over 240. So, and of course, the Giants, I believe, had some money they were rolling over. So it says salary cap expected to exceed $240 million for the 2024 season, and of course, obviously, in the each 2025, I think it's really supposed to shoot up quite a bit. Let me see here. 2020 it's supposed to be over 240. All right, here we go. 20. So let's just see what they're anticipating it being here in Spot Track. That's all I'm going by. They quite possibly think it might go over 280 million next season. Well, wait, 220. Well, maybe to over 260 million, maybe around 260. So it's supposed to, once again shoot up like another 20 million or so. So, it's supposed to, obviously keep on keeping on. The problem is that, the one thing which you'll obviously never see the NFL, let's see here. The one problem is that, is where you'll never, ever, get, you'll never be able to, get a good, solid team for the most part without any holes or anything like that, is that because as soon as the salary cap goes up, the salaries go up. I mean, it's like, it would be great. I'm saying, is that if all the teams, because you have to spend so much money and all that. But, I mean, if the teams would, would kind of curb their spend, if the salary cap would go up, a couple of years, and the salaries of all the players don't go up, then you can, bring in guys, you can bring in a nice guard for $15 million, bring in another guard, then bring in a nice edge rusher, because they're all making this, their salaries aren't going up, right? So as the salary cap goes up, now you can afford more players because nobody's salary is really going up. Or, I mean, the salaries go up like, 1% or 2%, something like that, but that's never going to happen. Once the salary cap goes up, right, that's when everybody's salary goes up. So you still never, you'll never, ever, I mean, if the salary goes up to $1 trillion next season, guess what? The punter's making $450 billion. That's the salaries just going up. So you'll never, ever be able to, get an unbelievably phenomenal team, across the board. Teams always have some weaknesses. And as I said, but as soon as the salary cap goes up, everybody's salary just jumps because there's more money there. And plus also teams, if somebody really wants this guard or this tackle, right? Well, what they're going to do is say the highest paid tackle is getting, say, $25 million. And the Panthers really want this tackle, this free agent tackle who's really, really good. Well, they might just throw, because the salary cap went up. Well, they might just throw $30 million at him. Well, we got the money. We're going to throw $30 million at this tackle. So he comes and plays with us. Well, guess what? Now all the tackle salaries are based on $30 million. So the next guy comes out the following year. If he's better, if player A is making $30 million as a left tackle, right? And player B comes out the next season and he's better than player A. Player A is making 30. Well, now player B is going to get 32, 33 million, right? So now the bar is 30, and that's what winds up happening, right? The salary cap goes up. You got one of these teams or, whatever. All they got to do is throw a decent amount of money at a guard or a wide receiver, like a Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's there. Tyreek, come on, baby. We got you, bro. Come on. We're throwing $35 million a year at you, right? Huh? Yeah. How do you like us now, bro? Huh? So Tyreek Hill comes and, not that there's anybody any better than Tyreek Hill, but now, boom, the wide receiver, it's at 35, right? So the next big time guy, it's going to come up. He's going to get more. He's going to get more than 35. Then right. And it's the same thing with anything. Cornerback, right? You got a cornerback out there. Say the cornerback market is, say the top cornerbacks are saying making $20 million. Right. But now all of a sudden the salary cap goes up. And as I said, the Texans, they got $100 million in salary cap, just burning a hole in their pocket. They want a cornerback. This cornerback comes out. He's like Sauce Gardner. Say he's available. Right. Just say for whatever reason, the Jets don't franchise tag him or whatever. Whatever. You know what I mean? And he becomes a free agent. Well, there's a battle for Sauce Gardner. Right. But if one of these teams has a bunch of money, right, and as I said, if the top cornerbacks are making 20, well, all it takes is one team with a lot of money. Well, no, we're getting Sauce. We're going to throw $25 million at Sauce, right? So now all of a sudden, instead of the cornerback market, the top cornerbacks making 20, now it's up to 25 because one team threw a bunch of money at one guy. Now the market's reset. The cornerbacks are making $25 million, right? But let's see, the NFL Management Council informed clubs this past week that it won't provide a projection for the 2024 salary cap at the Winter League meeting on Tuesday and Wednesday, and the cap is unlikely to be set until after New Year's Day, according to sources. But people familiar with the matter say surging revenue and diminishing aftershocks of 2020 pandemic are on track to yield significant cap growth over the next several years, with a 2024 cap likely to land north of $240 million and additional revenue rolling into future caps. As one source put it, business is booming and everyone is finally out of the COVID debt. Yep. Sources say revenue projections could support a 2024 salary cap well above the $240 million range, another enormous increase from the record $224.8 million per club this past season, which was also up from 208 in 2022. So it went up from 208 to 224 to over 240. So it's going to keep jumping, obviously. Every year it keeps going up. Says, however, the cap has been set in recent years via settlement between the NFL and the NFL player associations, and the union historically has wanted to smooth out cap growth rather than having a one-year spike so that one class of free agents players doesn't disproportionately benefit or suffer, which is true. That's true. That is true. It says if it chooses, the union can effectively defer some dollars that would go toward the 2024 cap into 25 or 26 to even out the growth, avoiding a situation where the cap has a massive spike this year and then goes flat. Yeah, I guess that's understandable. It says the record 2022 salary cap of $208 million was the maximum agreed to by the NFL and the Players Association. Which also, wound up hurting because the 2022 they had a bunch of empty stadiums due to COVID. The cap had been $198 million in 2020 before dropping to $182 in 2021 as part of that process. From 2013 to 2020, the cap had been growing at a pace of $10.74 million a year. The jump to $224.8 million this year marked a new high increase, and the growth in 2024 likely will be similar. And it says here, the free agent negotiating period opens at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 11th, and the 2024 league year at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, March 13th. So we got just a couple weeks, and the free agent negotiating period will open up, and the new league year. So we got it by what we got? 1, 2, like 3 weeks. That's freaking crazy. Absolutely crazy. Then I saw this from Giants Wire, and it says, I guess they got a little point here. I can understand this here, where the Giants have been called a terrible place for wide receivers. It's kind of like Giants beware. Not Giants, but wide receivers beware of the Giants as possibly being a terrible landing place for wide receivers. Let's see here. We got this is from Giants Wire. The 2024 NFL draft is still over 2 months away, but speculation about what each team will do has already heated up. Most early mock drafts had the Giants selecting either an offensive lineman or a wide receiver, number 6 overall, which makes a lot of sense because I don't know if any of those quarterbacks are going to be there. Right? A smaller minority have them grabbing a quarterback, which is once again I don't know if I couldn't possibly imagine them. Unless one of those 3 quarterbacks slides up to number 6. I don't know. Unless the Giants jump up to grab one of those quarterbacks. Who knows? I have a hard time believing that if the Giants are going to jump up because they have so many other pressing issues, and for them to jump up a couple spots and give up a bunch of good draft capital. And let's not forget, for them to jump up from 6 to whatever 3 or 2. You're not giving up a couple of picks, but if your scouting is good, you're giving up starters. You're not giving up a 7th round and a 6th round and a 5th round. You're not giving up. We'll give you pick 6. We'll give you our 5th rounder, our 6th round. We're not have a 7th round. We'll give her our 7th round in 2025. Right? We'll move up 3 spots, number 3. Does that sound fair? No, you're giving up what you're giving up. You pick number 6 to go up. I don't know, whatever. You're going to give up next year's 1st round. You're going to give up a 2nd round there. Just saying, right? So basically, you're giving up 3 starters just to grab one quarterback who's not even going to start. I said the Giants got a lot of pressing needs, so I can't see. I have a hard time seeing them jumping up, giving up possibly like maybe 3, if not even 4 starters. To jump up to pick 2 or 3, and I don't even know if the Commanders would even answer the phone. They need a quarterback. if you throw like 3 or 4 draft picks at them, would they consider that? Who knows, right? But all I know is, they're going to go back to number 6. They're not going to get one of the quarterbacks that they want, the top 2 or 3. They'll be long gone. So they would have to pick a quarterback up in the 2nd round or something like that. And that may not be the answer for them, especially if they fall in love with one of these quarterbacks. So I don't know if the Giants would even consider jumping up, even trying to, as I said, make the call, right? I couldn't even imagine. I don't even know if they would, because they'd be giving up starters to get a quarterback who probably won't even start the year. So it's a tough call. But let's see here. That would be fine and good for linemen or quarterbacks, but not so much for wide receivers, says Bleacher Report's Matt Holder in a recent column outlining poor landing spots for the top 10 prospects in the draft. Holder says all receivers should want to avoid going to the Giants because it's a terrible place for them. To be blunt, the New York Giants are a terrible place for any receiver to land. Starting quarterback Daniel Jones is coming off a torn ACL and has a questionable future with the team. His play has been up and down, putting it modestly, throughout his career, and his contract contains an out after next season per Spot Track. Also, the Giants have major pass protection issues after leading the league in sacks allowed with 85. And head coach Brian Daboll is widely considered to be entering a make-or-break year in 2024. Specifically, Holder says it would be an especially bad situation for Rome Odunze. Between unstable situations at quarterback and head coach and problems in the trenches that make throwing the ball difficult, Odunze has a better chance of success somewhere other than New York. The optics surrounding the Giants are understandably negative. The franchise has fallen on hard times over the past decade, and many fear that cycle will continue in 2024 for all of the reasons Holder outlined. And that's it's understandable. Yeah, that's certainly understandable. I mean, look at now. To be fair, I said you can also look at Jalen Hyatt, right? I mean, he scored he had like 38 touchdowns in that one game against Alabama. Right. I mean, his speed and this, that, and the other thing and all, but, also came, I mean, he's not how Marvin Harrison Jr. as far as route running and all of that, so he had some stuff to learn. Okay. But as I said, once again, you look at what they were able to get him, as far as production last season. It wasn't eye popping, right? Once again, as I said, right now we got Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan, right? Daniel Jones coming off of an injury. He's like one neck injury away from possibly have to end his career. You have no idea. You don't know. I mean, as I said, once he's coming back from his torn ACL. They said, he might be ready to go, but will he be 100% like the way he was a year or two ago when he was able to run as well as he could? No, because usually they say with the ACLs, you come back, but usually just from what I hear, the second season, that's when you're better. That's when you're up to 100%. And sometimes what I'm hearing, it might even be better than you were before the ACL tear, right? So, I mean, they're going to come back with Daniel Jones, who I said you don't know what his health is going to be like. Did not have a good season last season. Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan. So if they're going to draft the Dunze, right, and they don't know who the other quarterback's going to be, they got to have it. They got to draft or get another quarterback. You don't know if they're going to draft somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round and try to develop them. They're going to go out and maybe, which will shortly lead me to my next point. I saw an article on Jimmy G, right? Minshew Mania, Jimmy G, I mean, one of these backup quarterbacks, Mitch Trubisky, but you don't know who the quarterback is, right? And as I said, the offensive line has not been very productive. I mean, obviously, you're always kind of thinking on the up and up. You think we have a new offensive line coach coming in, supposed to help make the offensive line better, right? But if you do get a number 1 wide receiver in here, it's once again the theory of relativity. Everything's I mean, if you got somebody who's a dog, it's going to make everybody else better. right? As I said, we got the offensive line coach coming in. You don't know. I mean, the Giants, as I said, Daniel Jones might do well. You don't know. The thing is, what you're talking about is if they're drafting a guy in the top 10 as far as a wide receiver, then obviously we're not landing a quarterback in the first round. We're going to be drafting somebody possibly, if they do, in the second, obviously, and later rounds. So is there a quarterback in the second or third round or what that we could draft who, if Daniel Jones isn't 100%, is that quarterback going to be able to step in, or we got to rely on Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan? So, I mean, that's also, that does make some sense. Have Dunze come in here, right? We're not sure if Daniel Jones was going to be ready. We're going to have Tommy Chicken Cutlets might have to be the starter, right? And we have a guy maybe we draft in the second or third round who might need a little bit of development, so he may not be ready, right? So then the problem with that also too, okay, is that Giants got a little problem, on their the issue here, right? If they put Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan on the practice squad, somebody come there and pick him up, right? Yeah, I mean, he's shown that he can be at least a starter, right? So somebody might come and grab him, but if they do grab him, they have to put him under 53 though. Okay, but as I said, it does have a good point to it. It does have a good point. They did change the field, okay, so that should help a little bit. So the visions of Sterling Shepard running what did he run, like 5, 6, 7 steps in a one game 2 years ago, boom. Season was over. Hopefully with the new turf, hopefully that kind of calms things down a little bit. Because last thing I have a wide receiver come here. I got to go to where? Isn't that the place that Sterling Shepard jogged 5 steps and fell to the ground, and basically his season was over? Is that the place? That place? That's where I'm going. Yeah. So I can see some wide receivers having some reservations on that. But I mean, the one thing is, okay, you have to pretty much look at this, okay? If you're drafted, especially if you're quarterback and you're getting drafted by the, if you want to get drafted number 1, why? Because you want to maybe make the most money. You want to be drafted the first quarterback out, or the same thing with the wide receivers and all that. Well, if you want to get drafted number 1, well, what does that entail? Well, that entails a team, for the most part, maybe not this season because the Bears and the Panthers, right? They made a trade and made a deal and all that. So the Bears have the Panthers. But the Bears still are in pretty much the same position. But for the most part, when the number 1 team picks you, what's their issue? They suck. Okay? If you're getting picked by the number 2 team, most of the time, why? Because they suck. So you go into a bad situation. You have to make it a good situation, right? So I mean, if you get drafted in the top 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, usually why? Because the teams suck. You don't have Super Bowl winning teams. You're not gonna have the Kansas City Chiefs picking number 4, drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. Right? That usually doesn't happen. You're not gonna have number 31, the 49ers jumping up to number 5 and drafting the Dunze. That's not happening. So if you want to get drafted in the top 5, 6, whatever it is, in the top 10, you're usually going to get drafted by a team that sucks. They got issues. That's why they're in the top 10. But you're going to get compensated for it. Right? You got I forgot what the pick 6 is. It's like 7.5 or 8 million guaranteed, somewhere around there. It's close to what Saquon made. Obviously, that was in 2018, but he was picked 2. Okay. But I think it's like 7 or 8 million, something like that. Obviously, it's guaranteed for 4 seasons, right? So at pick 6, I mean, they're going to make 30 million, right? Guaranteed. But that's that. I mean, you really can't pick and choose where you want to go. That's what makes, for the most part, but that's what makes the sport, that's what makes the draft so exciting and all that and everything. Right. But if you want to get drafted in the top 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 or whatever, you're getting drafted usually by a team that sucks. And I said, I mean, the Bears are drafting number one where the Panthers should have been. The Panthers are obviously the worst, right? But, the Bears aren't much better. So, I mean, the Bears, I mean, hey, if they want to rock and roll with Justin Fields, draft Marvin Harrison, right? So, they have a good quarterback, but I mean, obviously, the Bears are drafting that low because they have issues. They're not that good, right? They might have Justin Fields, okay, but they have other issues. I mean, if they were that good, they wouldn't be drafting where they are. So I mean, that's especially when you're talking about one of these upper echelon, one of these dog wide receivers, and one of these dog players, you're going to the team that sucks. All right, and then finally, what was this last thing here? Jimmy G, 3 Jimmy G free agent destinations. And, of course, the first one they throw out here. Who are the other ones here? I'm just going to read. Oh, here we go. Is this it? No problem. My bad. Previous. Here we go. Is this it? What we got here? The Broncos. Yeah. But the thing is with the Broncos would want him as a starter. And who else we got here? The Patriots. Oh, well, I mean, that too. I mean, the thing is here is with, with the Patriots, he would be, well, to be fair, with the Patriots, right? They're going to draft a quarterback. So if they're going to get Jimmy G might start the year, right? And then maybe, he'll be the torch holder, just holding the torch while they until halfway through the season or whatever it is. And then they bring in whoever it is, and they get Caleb Williams or May, whoever it might wind up being, right? Right. But, Jimmy G might be the starter. If the Broncos bring him in, he'll probably be the starter though, right? If he comes in for the Giants, he might be the starter maybe for the first week or so, whatever, until Daniel Jones gets his legs, But, I mean, other than that, he's probably going to predominantly come in here to be a backup. But you can see that if he's playing better in New England than the quarterback that they draft, he'll be the starter. Okay, you can see if he goes to Denver, he might want to be in the starter in Denver, possibly. Well, but we'll have to wait and see. Well, let me see here. Let me see what this article here says here with Denver. Denver's seen all, but I'm saying is they're trying to maybe get rid of Russell Wilson as soon as possible, which means that they have an opening at quarterback. The Broncos seem all but set on jettisoning. So I mean, if they get rid of Russell Wilson, they bring in Jimmy G, he'll be the starter. I mean, that doesn't obviously, the Broncos would also probably, especially with Sean Payton there, right? Draft a quarterback, maybe, and they can draft a quarterback in the first round if they still like one of the ones to get to him, or draft one in the second round or something like that, and Payton brings him in, puts him under his arm, right? Develops him, right? But Jimmy G will be the starter. And as I said, the same thing in New England. If they drafted somebody, I don't know if he would be starting right away. So Jimmy G might be a starter. But if Daniel Jones is healthy, right? Jimmy G's on the bench. So I don't know if Jimmy G's going to want to come and just sit on the bench predominantly. But then again, the one that, it's like with Daniel Jones, God bless the man, but, he gets injured. So, Jimmy would also wind up knowing that, it's like, when Daniel Jones gets injured, I'll probably get my chance then. The other problem is that Jimmy G gets injured, right? He's very fragile. And the way the Giants offensive line has been going the past few years or whatever like that, buyer beware. So Jimmy G, if you come in, unless Carmen Basillo can turn this into really do a bout face with this offensive line, right? Jimmy G comes in, if he has to play, he's going to get hit. Yeah. Buyer beware. All right. So we got here. All right. With Jimmy G. All right. This would be a safe option for both parties. The Giants now know that the value of a quality backup quarterback after losing Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor over the course of the last season, ending up with Italian sensation Tommy DeVito. DeVito was a fun story, but Brian Daboll clearly did not trust him to throw farther than 5 yards down the field, which makes it mighty hard to win a football game. Yep. With 1 year to go before they can realistically move on from Jones' contract, they'll be investing in some depth for the quarterback room, and Garoppolo fits that mold. Plus, he knows Daboll from the Patriots days, right? Familiarity matters in the NFL. But once again, Jimmy G has familiarity with the Patriots, but I don't know if there's anybody on that Patriots staff that's still there when he was there, right? But he knows the familiarity with Daboll, though. So once again, it does matter, right? Garoppolo wouldn't really be given a chance to start here. So if that's a priority for him, he'll have to be looking elsewhere, right? I mean, he'll be given every chance to win the starting job. But if Daniel Jones is healthy, this, that, and the other thing, Daniel Jones will be the man, right? But if he wants to work for a guy who knows his skill set for a comfortable lump of cash without needing to undertake starting quarterback responsibilities, this is the optimal place for Jimmy G. The Giants get some quarterback depth with a guy the head coach is familiar with. Jimmy G gets paid and lives in New York City when he isn't in New Jersey. Pretty close to a win-win with very reasonable expectations on both sides. Now, as I said, is Jimmy G, I mean, he took the 49ers to a Super Bowl. They didn't win it, this, that, and the other thing. Is he a top 10 quarterback? No. But, right, I mean, would he be a decent or sufficient backup? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Without question. But as I said, so it all depends. He knows that if he comes here, once again, it's a familiarity, right? But he does know that if Daniel Jones is healthy and all that and everything, right? Daniel Jones is the starter. If Jimmy G's okay with, once again, Jimmy G's kind of getting up there in age and whatever. And I'm sure, I don't know, if he's okay with going to a backup role. I mean, it would be to make some cash, right? Standing on the sideline, and Daniel Jones stays healthy all year, right? He'll have Jimmy G will be healthy on the sideline. But as I said, but you also do have two very fragile quarterbacks, Daniel Jones and Jimmy G. And then you have Tommy DeVito. So, but it's just once again, very, very interesting. But as I said, if we did bring Jimmy G in, a capable backup, right? I mean, you can't have, it's pretty tough to bring in somebody who's really that good, right? And expect them to be a backup. I mean, you're not going to go out on the open market, spend 40, 45 million, whatever, for Aaron Rodgers and Aaron, but you'll be the backup. Okay. If the guy's that good, they expect to play. Right. But as I said, once again, it's going to be very interesting to Jack to see if the Giants don't get a quarterback in the first round. What do they do in second rounds 2 and 3 or whatever? They draft somebody and try to develop them. Have to wait and see. All right, guys, it's been 58 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody spends any time watching the replays, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. Thank you. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.